Hello everyone, welcome to Seashore Adventure. I was just in Nassau, the Bahamas, and I'm super excited to share this video with you. I've always thought Nassau is just too busy for a relaxing vacation with crowded beaches and too many parties. However, I was blown away by how many beautiful shells I found and how many amazing additions to my shell collection. I've previously posted another video how I found those beautiful shells. I will link down below. So this is the haul from Nassau, and this is from one trip. I love seeing all different colors, and I have so many different varieties here. Not only shells, but stuff from beach like fan coral fragment and sponge fragments, and so many different things. And it's so fun to collect those. I have some juvenile queen conch here. This is the largest queen conch I could fit in my carry-on luggage. I have some smaller ones as well. It's not hard to find empty queen conch in the Bahamas because they eat them down there. They make really good conch salad with that. I've tried some before. It's very tasty. This milk conch, though, is super pretty. I ran into one of those at the beginning of my trip, but there was a hermit crab in it, so I had to let it go. But this one is much prettier than that one. It's very, very glossy, and this is how I found it when I saw it. It's been there for a long time, so it didn't smell very good. I took some real good time to clean it, but right now it's so pretty, so glossy, very shiny, and it smells so good as well. This is a king helmet shell. I was so excited to find this shell. It's absolutely beautiful. My husband and I, while we were snorkeling, we saw so many of these shells. They were all alive though. Some are as big as a football helmet, which probably where this name came from. Unfortunately, the first time I saw the biggest helmet shell, I got too excited and I got my camera wet, and my camera would not turn on for next 2 days, and so I lost those 2 days. I could not make any videos during the time, so I do not have any footage of this king helmet shell. This is a long spine star shell. This is how I met this shell. I had a lot of stuff on it, but I couldn't believe how I found it. It was upside down and everything. But now I cleaned it. It's beautiful. It's so pretty. I am very super thrilled to have this shell in my shell collection. This is a true tulip. The only true tulip shell I was able to bring home this time. It's not that big. They get a lot bigger than this one. But look how pretty this is. It's perfect. It's dark. It's so beautiful. Sometimes it's all about quality, not quantity. I do have some letter olive. That's a good one. And I did see a couple dwarf olive. They're a lot smaller than the lettered olive. And this is the only peanut snail I was able to bring home this time. I saw so many out there, but every one of them had somebody living in. So I wasn't able to bring that. These are tune shells, partridge tunes. I do have quite a few here. I love these big ones. I'm so excited to have that here. So I found a couple of those broken ones in Navarre Beach the last time I was there. It was so little hard for me to identify really what it was. But we found these actually in the deeper part of water in Nassau this time. My husband and I were snorkeling about 5 to 7 feet of water when water was low tide. It was a lot easier to look for shells since the water level was lower, and most of these guys, where we found them, they were stuck in between the rocks. So we were able to identify them a lot easier when the water was lower. Those birds' nests, they're everywhere and they're so pretty. So I love collecting those every time I can. I do have quite a few sea urchins here. We have few different kinds of urchin test here. Sea urchin, sea biscuit, and this one here is called heart urchin. These guys and sea biscuits, they look pretty similar, but heart urchins, they're much fragile. They're more fragile and they're much easier to break. Some small shells here, Cuban land snail and some pink trivia, some narit, some gaudy natica, always fun to find those. And here I have a couple flamingo tongue. I found one of these in Ebaco Island long time ago. I think a lot of people think that this shell maybe look boring, but they are kind of rare. These are West Indian top snails. These guys are very common to see in the Bahamas. We saw a lot of these guys any beaches we went. Most of them were alive. However, we were able to find some empty ones. And what we did find this time that I've never seen before is an operculum for this snail. So I'll be able to share that with you later on this video. Also, we found a sand dollar that had 6 keyhole. So normally we find sand dollar that only has 5 keyholes in Florida, Southwest, Panhandle, and east side of Florida. We see 5 keyhole, but I think 6 hole is pretty special, and the size of that is pretty big. So I'm super happy about that. This top looking snail is actually American star shell. And this is the only cowrie we found in the Bahamas this time. It's Cornelia cowrie. And according to what I've read, cowrie and a trivia, the pink trivia shell, they're kind of related. Here we have some colorful things. I have some seaweed, skeleton of seaweed, and some sea drift wood, and some sponges. And that one sponge with a bunch of holes, it is interesting. It's called a scatter pore sponge. And it's got a bunch of little holes on it, which is kind of strange. Next, we have some beautiful bivalves. This shell, sunrise telling, mostly yellow. And this one, pink, yellow, and white combination. They're so shiny and glossy. They're naturally beautiful. This is called a fast telling. They look a little bit different than sunrise telling, although they're all telling shell. First time I have seen them. These guys are called King Venus. I think they're relation to Imperial Venus in Florida. These are called gaudy asaphis. I do have quite a few different color and different sizes. Some yellow with very dark purple inside, and some purple one and some orange one. That one is my favorite. How small that is and so dark and beautiful. This one is white with dark purple. And I do have some egg cockle shell and horse mussels. Couple Atlantic thorny oyster. I tried to clean them, but it didn't come off much. And we have some more oyster shells. These look a little bit different than other oyster shells. They look pretty cool. Found couple amber pen shell. Those are super pretty. Some reddish color. And those two shells on the top with question mark. I recently found out the one on the right, it's called Doghead Triton, and the one on the left is a Murex. To the people who helped me to identify these shells, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I've collected some shell skeleton and limpet shells. And this is the operculum that I mentioned to you earlier. It is from West Indian top snail. It's beautiful and very thin but very well preserved. This is an operculum from Garinarica. It feels so different than the other one, the one from Indian snail. This is the very first tusk shell I've found. Some Marginella, Melampus, and here we have Jasper cone. These are bittersweet clams. I know there are a lot of these in Florida, and these look just like the one in Florida. However, a couple of them looks different and they have different design and color. Had to bring some kitten's paws from the Bahamas and those red speckle shells. And we have strawberry cockles. Some of the shells are somewhat familiar with Florida. Turkey wings and crossbar Venus and some of the oyster shells. I love that oyster shell. See how jagged the shell looks. It's pretty neat. And I have to tell you that one little scallop was so beautiful, and that one little leafy jewel box, they're just beautiful. I had to bring them home. Oh, one last shell I'd like to share with you. Turbinella angulata, also known as West Indian shank. I've never seen this shell before. First time I found it in the Bahamas. I had no idea what it was. Someone on YouTube last video I made mentioned its name, so thank you for the information. Well, that is everything from Nassau this time. I'll have to say I could not be happier what I was able to bring home this time. Look at all the different colors. It's beautiful. So many different shells. This display, I love it so much. My husband and I, we did not eat at this dining table for a very long time. There was no problem to bring any of these home from Nassau back in USA, except that one king helmet shell through Bahama TSA. They wanted to open my luggage and see that helmet shell, but other than that, I had no problem, no red flag. I was able to bring everything so beautifully back home. So it was a great trip in the Nassau. I would absolutely repeat this trip again. Great time. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Until the next time, happy shelling!